So let's ask that question. Have you once traveled there to visit your properties, or is it since you started, you did not go to check the property?
This is going to be so interesting. Yes. Okay. So to answer your question, I have not physically been in any of my property.
Yes.
But I have seen them, and I put and I put processes in place so that I don't have to be physically there, changing the pipes, changing the fixing the door, fixing the roof. I make sure that the business is able to support all these processes and systems so that I can manage it remotely. So I asked myself, how can I then make a difference? So I work hard, I save a lot, and then so I asked myself, what can I do with this savings? So I always believe that investment is most intelligent when it's business-like. So if I were to invest in a property only for the appreciation and it doesn't make sense economically from the rent portion, then it becomes not very business-like.
Today, it is my great pleasure to welcome Han, a brilliant, inspiring power mind from Singapore. Hi, Han, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Hi, Alex. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And today we're going to talk about a really passionate topic. Han has actually had such an impressive journey. Han managed to completely innovate in the real estate sector. And we are going to talk about how to become financially independent by investing in real estate. And Han is actually sharing his tips and tricks how to, I think, as I understand you, how to use your 9-to-5 salary to invest and become every day a little bit more financially independent.
Yes, indeed.
Ta-da! So we're looking forward to that. But before we dive into that fascinating topic of innovation and entrepreneurship, let's ask some personal questions so that the viewers get to know you better. So first of all, what are your inspirations? Like, who is your most important inspiring person, or who are the most inspiring people to your life?
Yeah, great questions. I think there are many inspiring people. I'm a like an investor, so obviously Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, and Benjamin Graham are some of the people. They impart a lot of teachings to me, and I learned a lot. And a lot of my investment thesis and understanding are from them. But I think. And of course, my parents are one of my sources of inspiration because they are not from a very well-off family, and I didn't come from a very well-off family, but they worked very hard to provide me with the environment for me to be able to flourish and to be able to take care of the other things that I want in life instead of just thinking of scrapping for the next meal. So this is one thing, and one of the most important inspiring person that I took away is also from the late Kobe Bryant. He's a very hard worker, relentless, obsessive with attention to details, and these are the traits that I wasn't a fan of his. He's a basketball player, by the way. Yeah, and he passed away, I think, 2 years ago in January. So, but when he was I wasn't a fan of him when he was a basketball player, but when I read a lot about his process of overcoming challenges, overcoming odds, it feels like any average person with the correct habits, mindsets can transform themselves into a successful person. Yeah, so and that inspired me and took a lot of all his mindsets, like obsessiveness, attention to detail, sometimes a bit too obsessive. yeah
I know that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, and breaking down things into breaking goals logically, breaking down step by step, understanding long term that this whole journey is a long-term process, and you don't get to the place immediately, and you can't expect that. You need to understand every year you put in the work that you need to, and you put in a bit more than the rest, and then you get that edge, and every year you create that separation from your competition because you put in more work, and and then you become successful.
Yes, exactly. It's these little steps. And may I just also mention, you have your company is called Byte Sized Invest. Is that the reason why you call it bite sized? Because you always add another byte?
Yes, it's called Byte Sized Investments. But the Twitter handle, because of the character limit, so I have to do Byte Sized Invest.
Okay, Byte Sized Investments. And I'm going to link in for the viewers all these handles, obviously, just to mention. But yeah, back to the question. So is that the reason why you say bite size? Because it's small steps to success?
Yeah, it is a name pun in a way because because firstly it's bite size as in BITE, byte, you chunk it smaller. But I pronounce it as byte, BYTE, because we are in a digital age. But at the same time, byte is also like, megabyte, byte is small,
Yeah,
byte,
very
BYTE.
tiny.
Yeah, so I believe that every big goal may sound very complicated and complex, but if you break them down into smaller steps, you can actually, it becomes simpler and becomes very easily achievable. So you step by step tackle the smaller goals, you will eventually achieve the impossible. So I have an ex-boss, he was also one of my inspiration. He says, Han, remember this, start by doing the possible, then you do the necessary.
That is so true.
Eventually you will accomplish the impossible.
I just want to underline that I totally believe in that. And I think it's also what happened to me many times when I felt blocked. It was always this false belief that it sounded too big, or like, as you just said, as impossible. And that is what mind blocks us as human beings, because we always look at that big mountain and we think, oh my God, I will never do this. But actually, if you break it down, it becomes possible, because it's just, okay, what we're doing today is we do one video. It's just that we have to focus on, and not, oh my God, we're launching a YouTube channel. No, it's the small step, and then it becomes doable, as you say. So just to underline, because I so much believe in that. Yes, and you were saying, so the inspiring people were basically, so these people you mentioned, your parents, and then can I just add on to that? It's a little bit already going into your journey. So how did you have that fantastic idea of starting that business?
Wow, okay, so Singapore, a few layers. Basically, I always believe that there's a need to invest. Your 9 to 5 gets you by your day, gets you by to get the things. But if you want a larger than life kind of like life, you need to invest. You need to do beyond that. So I don't have a super high paying job, just a normal average next door 9 to 5. So I asked myself, how can I then make a difference? But so I work hard, I save a lot. And then so I asked myself, what can I do with these savings? So then it starts with investing. I have experience with investing in stocks and shares, and they were great. But at the same time, I'm always asking myself, like, what more can I do? So in Singapore, property prices are very, very high. It's like in Paris, it's like in New York, it's like in Hong Kong, Vancouver, very high prices. And if I were to put my money as an investment, obviously I can do well for appreciation, but appreciation do requires some timing to be able to maximize the profit. So I always believe that investment is most intelligent when it's business-like. So if I were to invest in a property only for the appreciation and it doesn't make sense economically from the rent portion, then it becomes not very business-like.
Yes.
So therefore,
Actually, sorry, just to dive in there, I just want to quickly share with the viewers what is actually your innovation. Your innovation is, and you partly answered that already, that you actually decided then to invest in a completely different market, like almost 10,000 miles across the ocean, you invested in the United States. And that is so brilliant, because so you completely exited that kind of what was your region by saying, okay, I cannot do business there, right? So now you're running a real estate business, or building it, as I understand it, and you went to a complete different market. You totally ignored the fact that it was 10,000 miles, and that is brilliant.
And yeah, exactly. And I put and I put processes in place so that I don't have to be physically there, changing the pipes, changing the, you know, fixing the door, fixing the roof. I make sure that the business is able to support all these processes and systems so that I can manage it remotely. Yeah.
And I see
So
all the
the reason,
questions of the viewers now. They will say, yeah, but how can you do it? Have you not once traveled? So let's ask that question. Have you once traveled there to visit your properties, or is it since you started, you did not go to check the property?
This is going to be so interesting. Yes. Okay. So to answer your question, I have not physically been in any of my property,
Yes.
but I have seen the properties. Yeah, I have built a team that helps me to go and look at properties. They will view the property with me virtually, with like, you know, video cameras and stuff like that. I mean, how do I say, FaceTime,
Yes.
Zoom call and stuff like that. So they will do and the viewing for me with me, and then after that I will also have a team to, I also get someone to go in with the technical know-how to look at walls, look at pipes, look at roof,
to do all the
and to give
checks.
me the technical information of where the defects are. And with that, I know that no, like I almost say what, but I will know what problems there is, and then I can use that as either negotiation leverage with the seller, or if not, I will budget that into my financials, because then I will have to put in the repairs, the cost for repairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
For all the planning.
But
that is so amazing. Can I just also pause for a minute to say that is so amazing. So you use the new technology to the fullest by actually building a remote team and kind of totally digitizing that traditional process of investing in real estate in a different market. It's just brilliant. Sorry, but I haven't seen any. Like what I've come across in my real estate experience is also people who invest far, but then they have this kind of hybrid way of functioning. They're kind of in the same country or on the same continent, so they still can reach it by a train or, you know, easily reach it. But you have really, I have not seen anyone who has gone that far of going across at the other side of the globe, basically. And you totally innovated by creating that team. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. So I did travel to a few places so that I can get the feel at the start. So I did not travel to the property when I buy, but I did like a visit to look at is this city great? What kind of vibe there? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did travel. After I traveled, I got comfortable and I drove around some of the streets and the neighborhoods to get comfortable. This place I like. I did video recordings and I make mental notes and stuff like that. Then after that, I have a map where I then says these are the places that I like. So if any property listings that pops out in these areas, I don't mind taking a look and do my underwriting over there.
I see.
But
so you have a way of honing down. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yes,
you need to know a little
bit
the surroundings, but that means it required you to travel just once to know kind of, okay, what's the feeling of that place? Is it a safe place? And so on and so forth, to know the neighborhood kind of thing. But that is suffice. It's not like in the old days where you have to travel each time you make a deal, right?
Yes, but I would like to share with your audience that there is a version 2 now. So because that was the first time before I put in money, before I understood the dynamics. So I had to travel there just to get comfortable. But now that I've been there once and I traveled and I understand the mechanics, if I were to scale it to the next city, I believe I do not need to go, because there are technologies in place that can help me. There are data and technologies in place. For example, one, Google Map. You can drive along the streets. I mean, virtual drive, yeah, along the street view to take a look at the neighborhoods. And there are signs and indications of what you see along the neighborhoods that can tell you whether these places are places that you like your properties to be in. Are they safe, or are they like ghettos? Are they war zones? These are places that you
can feel that now because you know the patterns. You can see that from an image. I totally believe. Yeah. But that is exactly what the innovation is about. Through building that experience once, now you can scale it. That is also
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So going back to your inspirations, because I want to have the viewers feel also what the whole spirit is like, your mindset, your entrepreneurship. Can you tell us a bit more about also what has been your most life-changing book, or what is your most inspiring tool that you say, okay, this is really, I want to recommend that to the viewers, but because without that, my mindset would not be like what I'm today.
Oh, yeah, that is a very, very, very good question. When I was much younger, like in high school, stuff like that, I always just want to be a 9 to 5, do a simple life, didn't want to do business and stuff like that. I was not ambitious per se, um, but and I really wanted a simple life. And then I one day I came across this book called the it's Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad's second book, Cash Flow Quadrant,
Ah,
where
right.
he
Okay.
introduced the quadrant, employee, self-employed, EBSI,
Ah,
employee,
yes. Mm-hmm.
business, yeah, self-employed and investors. And when I read that, I actually then it gave me the reflection of where I was, what kind of, it's a mindset book. It doesn't teach you anything on what to do, but it does reflect on, in general, how people are different when they think in this quadrant, how they act, and when they think in the other quadrant, how they act. And
Yes, leads to different
not
behavior. Mm-hmm.
correct, and different results. And more importantly, none of these actions are wrong or right. It's just
Yes,
different
exactly.
preferences. Yeah, so
Exactly. There's
different
no right
strokes.
or wrong. Exactly.
Correct. Different strokes for different folks. So if someone says, I think 9 to 5 is important, like for sure, because you're in
Yes.
that quadrant. Then some people will say, I think being an investor and having cash flow and passive income is more important than having good skills and having a job. Yeah, of course, because you are
Yeah.
sitting on the side of the business or investors mindset. So none of it is right or wrong. But more importantly, it gave me the perception of the world in a better way, because I was not indoctrinated with the world, so I was very protected, and I don't know how the world works. So that book gave me a very good reflection, and it starts the journey, change my life, start to make me think, what do I want? Do I want to convert my time to money, or do I want my assets to produce money, to income, so that I can spend my time on things that I value the most? Yeah. So
Exactly.
this is one of the most
That's the
transformational book.
mindset part. And also what you're just referring to is what Tony Robbins always refers to as the identity shaping thing. So what you just said is this book helped you, as I understand you, to shape where you would situate your identity. So it kind of shifted from the 9 to 5 identity, if we want to, that's really simplifying, but like it shifted, and you would now say you have this investing mindset, right? It's more part of your identity.
Yes. I would also want to introduce, I also want to share that this book also introduced to me these words called financial freedom, financial
Ah,
independence,
yes.
passive income. Yeah. So,
Very
and then
important.
I start to realize that, oh, I didn't, but at that point of time when I read it, like at 21, I roughly know what is financial freedom, but I didn't embrace it fully. I didn't understand what does financial freedom means. And I know what is passive income. I know what is cash flow by his book, but I don't know how to do it. The book doesn't teach you, because there's actually, and there's a reason why, because there's no one way. There's so many different ways to do it. So
That's
it
very
took me,
important. Yeah.
yeah, and it took me a few years of journey to realize my way of doing it.
And that is so important, because people always think there's a miracle recipe. And I also believe that how you actually then make it happen, it's really individual, it's unique. And today's age actually amplifies that, and it allows us more to bring it to the surface. Because previously, I have the impression, maybe in the last 20 years, people always used to think, okay, if I become an investor, I have to behave like that. There's a standard way. And that's not at all the truth. It's like, and you're the proof for it. You have to then realize, okay, if I have that mindset, if I want to achieve that, okay, I need to figure it out. I need to figure out the small steps, right? And that is what you're
Yeah,
doing. So it's
yeah.
really impressive. And then for the second part of the question, for the tools, what would you want to share with the viewers? What is your, like, okay, if I'm on a on a lonely island, that's the tool I wouldn't want to live without.
Right. Okay. So I as you can see that I'm a very I'm a person that is very obsessive and very relentless. And I want to. I didn't come out. I didn't. I wasn't smart when I was like born or stuff like that. I work really hard. So and I believe I'm able to achieve what I have today is because I really studied. I really spent time to learn from different people. And so to answer your question, the tools is basically no learning. So like things like YouTube and podcast are things that I can't do without. Every day I have to like spam myself
With
with all these
information and learnings, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
correct. And yeah, because I think that I there's so much things to learn out there. It started with, let's say, business mindsets, then after that stock investments, then business models, and then today is real estate investing, and maybe marketing or copywriting or stuff like that. So there's so many things that can learn, and I will spend time to listen when I'm like, but there's so little time. So I usually try to find gaps in between to try to cramp as much things to learn as possible. So like when I commute, when I travel, when I drive, when I jog, when I exercise, when I, yeah, I on a train, I will always put on my earphones and listen to the podcast and listen to the YouTube. So that's the tool that I can't live without to
Yeah,
continuously.
it's like your daily food, right? You need that. You cannot stay kind of like, oh, today there's no input, right? Do you have that as well? And like one topic leads to the next. It's like when you listen to those podcasts or when you get that information, you have, that's interesting. And then it leads you to the next one, right? It's because you then have new questions. That's the thing of exploring. Isn't that, I can totally relate to that. And then, for example, for me as well, if you go out in nature and your mind is free again, and then this question pops up, so you kind of start looking for that question, right? I mean, for the answers for you.
100%. When I do work, like when I'm doing a work, and then suddenly I realize, hey, I'm missing this. Like, I'm bad at, say, marketing. I'm bad at maybe finance, or maybe I'm bad at like a particular portion in the tax law that I'm not sure of. Okay, the next 5 days I'm just going to binge on this whole.
And that's so fascinating because it then allows you to explore just that question, and you learn more by answering your individual question, right?
Exactly. So do you know that when I brush my teeth and when I shower, I'm listening to podcasts and YouTube too. I don't I don't leave any time unturned, no stones unturned. Like I just consume even when I'm brushing teeth or showering.
That's the proof what I'm always saying. The entrepreneurs, they are like simply learners. It's also a learning mindset. Simply, that's my experience with entrepreneur. It's simply learning, because that's what keeps them going, basically. So definitely. And now for your business. So you already explained a little bit what you're creating, what your mission is. I want to read out also your bio to the viewers. So you say your mission is to help 100K investors to buy their first rental cash flowing property. So you're creating a program, you kind of creating a blueprint now to share with the world. That is now also part of your business. You you went into teaching mode. Is that correct?
Yes. So I think I spent 2 to 3 years of my life, hard while I was doing my 9 to 5, 2 to 3 years of my life hardcore studying this whole thing, because this real estate business, because it's something that I want to do, but there is no structured programs out there, and I really spent a lot of my time. And we have, let's say, standard male in the world has 80 mortality rate is about 82. So I spent 2 years of that time. That's like 1% or 2% of my time to do that. If I could save that time, I could be 2 years or 3 years ahead of where I
Yes.
want to do. And there's this hockey stick. So the more time you spend on the flat area, the less time you have on the curved area when your end point is the same, you know?
Yeah.
So
And
I
that is
want to
the
help
value add.
others. Correct. I want to I hope that the people that follow that want to do the same thing as me, they don't have to go through the same challenges to really study and go through the hard knocks and stuff like that. So that's my mission.
That's
To
the
help
true
100K.
value add. And that's why I want to also recommend to all the viewers to really check out your YouTube, your Medium, your Twitter, because you share so valuable lessons. And then, of course, for each one who wants to innovate in that area in real estate as well, of course, the person will find his or her innovative individual way. But I really, through going through some of your content, I really saw some really useful tips where I would say, oh, okay, next time I look on the real estate market, that will help me to have some focus as well. So that is where your value add lies. So that's really cool. What would you say then also to, what would your recommendation be to people who say now, oh my God, that sounds so interesting, so passionate, I want to do that as well. What would you recommend people who start completely from scratch now in real estate? What is the first step? What would you tell them? You know, your advice.
I would say to maybe, okay, so read the Rich Dad Poor Dad Cash Flow Quadrant book, because that was the first step for me to change my mindset, because
mindset
other
is
people
first,
would
yeah.
read, yes, mindset first, and then maybe to follow me, follow my YouTube, follow my Twitter, follow my IG, Instagram, Twitter, because I put up content on a regular basis. Like YouTube, I try to put up on a weekly basis content, and then on Twitter, I put up content every day. Yeah, so
and you have very useful case studies as well. I was like, if I wanted to now invest somewhere in the US, I would definitely follow you step by step in terms of, first of all, getting an orientation and an inspiration, which property to choose, because that's usually the hard one for somebody who's new in real estate. What do I buy first? Because if you don't have the feeling for it, and your kind of channel gives that kind of reassurance of, okay, that might be a good one and that rather not, because you give these measures, and that's very, very, very helpful. Talking about measures, what would be your measure of success? Where would you say for yourself, oh, that was a successful day, or that was successful?
I have like, okay, so this is a very interesting question. So do you know that I have I write an annual report to myself? I mean, yeah, I write an annual report to myself. Yeah. So I so that I'm accountable. I am my chairman, I am my CEO, I'm also my shareholder. So the shareholder will ask the chairman and the CEO, what have you accomplished for the shareholders this year? So I do my financial statements. On top of that, I have my sort of like a business plan, and I account for all the business goals.
Good. Yes.
Yes. So I did it. I started doing it in 2013. But my goals are crazy in the sense, because I try to put a goal that is very ambitious, so that even if I don't achieve it and I fall short of it, I still perform beyond what I would think I would have achieved. You know, if I didn't climb it, then maybe I achieve here. But because I aim this, then I fail, I'm still here, but it's better than here.
And you still have reached a lot. Exactly. So what would you like to share with the viewers in difficult situations? You know, every entrepreneur has that. You kind of create, but sometimes you just feel bogged down. You feel like, oh God, where is this leading? Was that the right choice? So when you self-doubt yourself, or when nothing happens in difficult situations, or when something really fails, I mean, that is part of entrepreneurship. What is your mindset hack? What do you recommend?
Yeah, this is very important. So when there is a big, like when in challenging times, in stressful situation, sometimes if we get too stressed and worked up and agitated, and very emotional, we get like our brain just freeze up. So the best thing to do is really to take a break, walk away, pause for a while. If time allows, pause a while, take your mind off for just a while, so that your body can be back to normal. So when it is relaxed, then your mind can flow. And so that's the first thing. From an emotional state, you need to relax and not be stressed. And the next step that I usually do, then comes that once you're not stressed, the logical thing can start to come. Always, it's exactly bite size. Basically, you chunk down. If it's a big problem, it's very complex. You need to isolate each things down,
Yes,
breaking down into smaller problems. Of course, you need to know how to analyze, and then after that, process the whole situation to know how do you chunk it down into bite-sized situation problems, and then after that, then you tackle all these small problems one at a time.
Yeah, that is actually what I was referring to before when you said already, cutting it up in small steps, but also what you just said, it actually helps to relieve what you said, brain freeze, by not challenging our human brains with this huge thing. That helps as well to unlock, because sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I will never. And that act of actually analyzing a problem and saying, okay, what if I just divided it up into these 3 little chunks, and then you feel like, as you say in your words, the mind starts flowing. I think also part of it has to do with human psychology, because we are not wired to process so much information at once. We are more like our brains. They want to stay on one thing at a time, and that's why we get so blocked and stressed, because stress is linked to being blocked in our brains.
Yes, exactly. So I can give you an example. Anyway, what you're saying just now was a cognitive overload. You can't function if there's overloading already. You need to break it down into smaller things. But I want to just spend a bit of time, a bit more on that. So basically, like what you exactly say, when a goal is too big, when a problem is too big, you can't figure it out, because there's so many things in between. Like, for example, I want to be a millionaire. How do I get there? It's so challenging. But or even a billionaire, because it is too big. But what if I say I want to be a millionaire in 10 years time, and then you say let's break it down? Then maybe I want to be 500,000 in anyway, numbers are arbitrary, but just to illustrate the whole thought process. So 1 million in 10 years time, maybe 5 years 500,000, then 3 years 300,000, then 2 years 200,000, 1 year 100,000. So from here now to the end of the year, how do I get 100,000? Maybe 1 month 10,000. Then you start to then ask yourself. So now instead of going to 1 million, you're just asking yourself, can I get to 10,000 this month?
Voila. And it's smaller that way. Exactly. And that is, it sounds so easy. People always say, oh, that's basic. No, it's not. That's what it's about. It's this kind of thing of breaking it down in numbers, but also in working steps and in the tasks or actions you put yourself for every day as well. I realized that I'm a victim of that myself. I'm really guilty of that. I put too many actions in one day. So I realized in my journey, okay, Alex, how would it be if I put, instead of 20,000, just maybe 10 actions into one day, so I don't feel like disappointed with myself at the end of the day, It sounds so simple, but it's all about that, because our brain, we need to be in control of what our brain actually can do. It's a powerful machine, but we need to be more kind of, as you say, get it out of that freeze mode and shock mode, if I may say so.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and then so that is a powerful mindset hack. And for also the viewers, maybe what would you say, like, in terms of, so we talked about measures of success, we talked about mindset hacks of how to meet the challenging times. What would be your lesson also you learned to deal with failure? Because that's, I guess, when people think about going into entrepreneurship or now real estate investment, you need to be prepared somehow to fail, because you could also choose a property that, I don't know, starts falling apart the next day after you bought it. So what would what would you suggest to viewers there?
So, I mean, on how to deal with failures, right?
Yeah.
So I think you have to embrace failure. I mean, you don't love failure, but you have to embrace failure, because part and parcel of life is really failing. Like, that no one can be successful without failures. It is inevitable. So once you expect that to happen, then you know that you can still try to work to avoid it. But when it comes, you are not so emotionally impacted. You won't say, oh, my life is going to end because there's this failure, and you accept it. You know that, okay, I failed.
It's
Then
part of it.
you
Yeah.
pause. Like what we said just now, take a walk, take a breath, take a drink, then analyze the situation, break it down. Why did I fail? What were the assumptions? And what were my steps? Okay, so this assumption was wrong. I thought it was this, but then it became this. That's why my steps didn't work. Okay, now then what is breaking out? What should I then do next? So then you became like less of an emotion thing, but become more logical. And then you can solve the problems easier. So embrace failure, accept that failure will come. Use this as an opportunity to improve your process system and thought process. And thought process, correct. And actually, do you know that with each failure, you became a lot better?
Yeah, because you learn from it.
Before.
You get this huge learning out of it. That's it.
And more importantly, this failure could actually help you in the next situation. Not the same thing, but because you could have, how do I say it? Like associated learning. Like you fail in this. Maybe I fail in this. Like for example, copywriting. I fail, but then because of these failures that I have, I carry it. The lessons I learned, I carry into advertising. I carry into pitching to my investors. I carry it to other things like trying to, because it's business relationship. So all these learnings you can carry over to
absolutely,
other.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's totally transferable, and it's so it's actually it leads to also the question, why do we perceive some things as failure? This is something very human, because we kind of measure ourselves. Sometimes it leads also to redefine our own measures. Like before, you mentioned your measures of success, and these so-called perceived failures then lead us to redefine. Oh, actually, I don't need to measure myself like that, because it actually was not a failure; it was a great learning. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly. I like to this reminds me of a quote. I'm not sure is it from Kobe Bryant or is it from Michael Jordan, basketball players. I like to play basketball. So basically he says that when you fail, it's the only time that you truly fail when you give up, because if you stop,
good one.
Yeah, you stop doing, then you fail. But if Monday you didn't do it, come in on Wednesday, come in on Tuesday to try again. Come in on Wednesday to try again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day you just keep trying. Eventually you succeed. So is it a failure because you fail on Monday, or is it because you gave up?
Exactly. Right? That is actually what we do with it. That is the important thing. And then the rest is our perception, our belief system, our mindsets. And it's always ourselves, usually the blocking points. Yeah, definitely. So thank you for that. And now final question, what are you really, truly grateful for in your life?
I see. What am I truly grateful for? To be alive.
Voilà.
To be alive.
I join you on that one.
I know it's very simple, like duh, but I have a few near-death experience. I ride a motorbike, so I've been into accidents before.
Oh my God!
I've burned. I've done experiments with my friends, and I burned my hand, real serious burning.
Oh my God! And you survived that.
And I thought I'll lose my hand. I got in a bike accident, and I dislocate my shoulder. I thought I'll lose my life.
Oh wow. But yeah, exactly. Thank God you survived that well. Oh my God.
Yeah. Wow. I'm grateful that I'm alive, and I'm grateful that I learned to value relationship much better. I was previously too obsessive with my drive to my goals, but today I'm a little bit more compassionate also at the same time with my relationship with my families and with friends also. So yeah, so and I'm grateful of all this, and I know my time on this world, I know it's a bit morbid, but my time on this world is finite, so I really have to cherish and value the time I have here. So I'm grateful that I'm alive. I hope that I can achieve more, do more, share more. If you could allow me for me to share my goals, like in life,
with great pleasure.
Yeah, so financial success is to be financially free, to have a business that is that can run by itself, that has systems. Then I just have to spend a little bit of time just to make sure everything is in place, so that my passive income is more than my expenses, and then I don't have to grind as hard as it used to be. Then I can spend the time on things that matters most, like spending time with my family, spending time with like traveling. I love to travel. Like we talked before that, before this recording, about traveling, hiking, enjoying nature, which brings me to my next point. I think humans have in our ability, in our drive to grow, we do take a lot from the earth, from Mother Nature. So I think there's some we need to give back. So I think
Yes.
I like to fight climate change per se. So if I can, I hope that I can create social enterprise that can help to fight climate change. Examples I like
Brilliant.
composting. I think we can do more by reducing food waste, compost it, and then turn it into fertilizers instead of going through the harsh chemical reaction to
Yes,
produce
that actually
fertilizers.
destroys all the insects and destroys nature even more. Exactly. Yeah.
Correct.
Brilliant.
And
I mean, hats off to you for that plan, for that goal, because we all need to do, it's actually not a choice anymore. I would say it needs to be imperative of all of us to think, what can I contribute to saving the planet? Honestly, it's like an imperative.
Yeah, and another thing on fighting climate change is like let's say, because we are dumping a lot of bad stuff into the ocean, just a very simple seaweed farm. A seaweed farm can help to filter and cleanse the ocean by that much, and it creates food. And it helps to do alleviate food shortage. Because these seaweeds are like carbon locked, they extract all these bad stuff from the ocean. Yeah, and you can you can actually use all this seaweed to produce energy also. So these are all interesting concepts that could use. So I hope one day I can do something along that line. And I think we are expanding, encroaching into nature a lot. Animals are losing their habitat. So if we can do animal sanctuaries, I hope to support animal sanctuaries to carve out conservation areas so that they can have their life. These animals can have their habitats. So these are some of the things that I like to do as for social enterprise. And of course, if humans are more, if we can solve poverty, then we can then be able to spend our time and our mental energy to solve bigger problems and help one another and not be selfish. So if we can improve financial literacy, then I think the world will become more generous. So I think that's why I want to help 100,000 investors. It's a crazy goal. 100,000 is a lot, but if I can help 100,000 investors buy their first cash flowing rental properties and to get their first step into elevating them and their future generations into a better financial situation, then with the financial problems out of the way, they can then be able to look and solve things that they're passionate about.
And so do a give back to our planet, definitely. So thank you for that. That is so good, because actually you see this business and teaching it to others as part of something bigger to give back to our planet. I mean, that is just so passionate. Thank you so much. And also I want to underline, entrepreneurship doesn't have to be like a life-filling, like if you have this one business now, it doesn't have to be a life-filling thing. This is just an enabler for something else, for something else, for something else. So that also, thank you for that, because I think we don't need to dedicate our lives. It's something that changes us from, I think, previous generations. It's like we don't have to dedicate our life to one purpose only. We can be multi-purpose, multi-value add. We can reinvent. We can, as you say, maybe if I have the same interview with you in 5 years, you will be completely on a different project because this is just enabling you. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And I want to say, as a final note, I will link all this fascinating, your story, your YouTube channel, all the handles to the viewers, and go check out Hans' profile. It's really worth it. Thank you so much for that interview.
Thanks, Alex, for the opportunity for me to share too.